Hello, and welcome to That Eurovision podcast, Eurovision with a slice of life. My name is Rory, and I am the happy one, I guess you could say. I'm also probably part-time alcoholic, given how this pandemic is playing out, but you know what? It's all right because we're delivering fantastic content for you all. And joining me...
Hi, I'm Jazzy. I am the oddball of the group. And yeah, I often, I'm one of those. I often don't know what to say. But
right.
Once I get on, I start on a topic, it's okay.
Hi, I'm Rosie. I'm the one that hasn't left my dressing gown for 3 days.
Honestly, that is a mood.
Acting mood.
Tim here. Apparently, I'm the socialite of the group that apparently knows everyone, but at the minute, I kind of don't know how everyone's doing because everyone's just been quiet on me. But yet, here we are.
It's okay. So long as we're all somewhat cooped up inside, then that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Oh, dear. Well, today's topic is going to be very, very interesting because we're actually going to start getting into specific countries and how we think their approach to the contest has been handled. So why not start off with this fantastic country that we all know and love, the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has been participating in every single Eurovision since 1957, with their first participant being... what was her first... Well, I can't remember her name.
I feel like there should be a drum roll here.
Patricia Breeden with the song All. It actually came 7th in a field of 10 with a very respectable 6 points. Oh, I mean...
What does it mean to go on?
Well, I mean, start as you mean to go on is like practically the best way of explaining any of this. In that time, the United Kingdom has actually gone on to achieve 5 first place finishes and up to 15 second place finishes. Obviously, since then, the United Kingdom's fortunes have started to change just a little bit, with their best performance in the past decade being in 2017. Oh no, not in 2017. In 2011. Sorry, 2011 with Blue and I Can. But the second one was 2017 with Lucy Jones and Never Give Up on You. The contest is undertaken by the British Broadcasting Corporation and has been pretty much since the entirety of the UK's participation in the contest. And yeah, so obviously everyone here has at least lived in the UK. So how do you feel the UK perceives the contest?
They perceive it as a joke. Well, the mainstream people perceive it as a joke. And I'm going to start off by saying I think it's how the content is being presented to the audience. Like, they don't know how amazing the content is because, let's say, the way the comments are being done on the representatives and, like, the countries and kind of, like, always blames it on politics when I can argue that it's not politics, it's cultural. So, yeah, and the fact that if you don't put an effort in, of course you're going to get not so great results. So, yeah, I'm presuming the mainstream media would say that it's that, but for us fans, we know how hard the representatives work when they get chosen, and they take that responsibility on. And after their participation, they still, care for these fans and the fact that they love them, and they still participate in events. So you know that they take on the competition head on with all love and support.
I think you don't necessarily get much of an appreciation of quite how much there is behind it until you've certainly started sort of get a bit more into the fandom and the contest and things like that. Like, most people don't even know that the semi-finals exist, let alone other national finals in other countries. So I think a lot of people perceive it as just sort of this one night a year thing, and they don't really see just kind of quite how much goes into it, and I think that doesn't help its perceptions either.
There's a perception of that we do badly for political reasons. May it be Brexit, may it be wars that we got involved in the early noughties. However, I kind of feel like a lot of other countries just put that much more effort into our entry than what I've seen from our own entries.
Fairly recently, I was talking to someone who I'd just recently met about the fact that this is a thing that I'm really into, and they were like, oh, but isn't it all just really political? And I'm just like, Israel won 2 years ago?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I feel countries get the results for the effort that they put into the contest, and as of like recently, it's not been a political reason as to why we do badly. Our songs are kind of just there. They're not bad, but they're just there, and they're not songs that necessarily televoters are going to pick up the phone and vote for. So, but our bad results have led to a negative perception for ESC of the general public.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that the way that the contest has been perceived in the UK just shows that there's just more of a disdain of the contest every single year. So this is something that I've actually done my dissertation on, that when you
Which you've just handed in this week, and we should all just take a moment to say, well done.
Thank you
well
very
done.
much. Thank
Congratulations.
You.
I have given it a read. It was really interesting.
Aww.
About halfway through, and it is really interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely.
But no, like in the dissertation, I made the point that countries who don't necessarily have that much of a European identity don't really take the contest seriously, because they see it as a way to just laugh at their inability to comprehend the British sense of humour. And I feel like that's a big stereotype that's kind of been ingrained into the contest. Obviously, with the amount of people who casually watch the contest in the UK, it's with the amount of people who watch it, it's very hard to kind of change their opinion, because this kind of sense of, oh, we never do well because of Brexit, or we never do well because nobody likes us. It's so plugged into their head because of the years and years that Terry Wogan had said that, oh, this is only just that. It just feels like we're going to be going around in circles. And it's a shame, because the fandom in the UK is actually very understanding, and I totally understand how frustrated that they can feel, because, you know, if a K-pop fan, for example, like someone criticized them for saying, oh, you know, why are you supporting K-pop, because, you know, it's being run by whoever, like it's a very disenfranchising feeling, really. So I totally understand how the UK fandom feels, but it's just a fact that you need to change the whole perception of the contest in the UK for any kind of change to happen, really.
I think as the UK, we don't get behind our entries either. We don't really put that same amount of support, and I think some of that is probably from the fact that it's done by the BBC, so they can't advertise and things like that, which does put people at a disadvantage as well. But at the same time, even the BBC half the time refuses to get behind the people that they've chosen. Like, just look at the articles that Scott Mills was writing, even as James Newman's song was announced, saying like, yeah, the UK's not going to win this year. And it's like, at least have a little bit of enthusiasm. And you're one of our commentators. You're one of these people that's supposed to love this contest. And yet at the same time, you're just failing to show any sort. There's a difference between sort of, yes, this person's definitely going to win, and this person's doing a really great job. We're really putting a bit of effort in this year, and we should get behind them, and we should support them, and show that we actually do really appreciate the music that they're putting out there for us.
See, the thing with that is, it's like they feel that because previously, like let's say in the previous century, because we were like one of the superior ones, we always get like runner up or like either win it. I think people are still stuck in that perception where we're not doing well unless we're winning or we're high up in the leaderboard. But the problem with that is, how are you going to be high up when you're not putting the effort in and you have this negative perception? I mean, I've seen a BBC News article where someone from the BBC actually wrote like how it won't do really well and have kind of said like, oh, this entry would do better, but would it beat the UK? Yes. And I was just like, it was a certain country but that I won't mention on here because I don't want to drop names. That's just terrible. But look at it per se, like if the UK does not change its perception, it's not going to do well, and no wonder why people are not voting for you, because there's this kind of like attitude where we're the best, we're number one, when clearly you're not, and you need to kind of make a change first and then see where that leads.
How are you going to get people to care if you don't care?
Yeah,
exactly.
This is actually a really interesting point, because I've really respected Eurovision YouTuber Tessellating Hexagon. Shout out. He actually presented a video essay on how wrong the UK actually perceives the contest. And like you said, actually, it's so much this mentality that, you know, second place is the first of the losers. To even just get like on the left hand side of the scoreboard is an achievement. To get to top 10 to top 5, that's all just like bonus, really, you know.
So how we've been doing, I feel like Lucy did really, really well. But in the UK, it was just like, oh, we were rolled, we'll never do well, it's all because of Brexit. But in actuality, compared to recent results, Lucy had done really well.
Yeah, no.
And I feel like her result was still seen as a negative thing among the British press and to the BBC, and that should not have been the case. We should have celebrated that, because that was a step in the right direction, and that was the direction we should have carried on.
And the thing is that with that, we actually improved from the previous year, which is what people are not seeing. In Stockholm, we came 24th, and in Kiev, we came 15th. And people are still not getting, like, it's still an improvement, but no, you still want to criticize. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the sense that because the UK usually does so well in these kind of competitions, to not do well, it very much feeds into the sense that it's not our problem, it's everyone else's problem because they don't understand us. But that just could be my opinion. I don't know. But actually, getting back to 2016, 2016 was the first year, actually, in probably about 6 years or so, that the BBC actually organised a national final. And that carried on all the way up until 2019 with varying degrees of success. With the evolution of, say, Eurovision You Decide, do you think that the national final could have actually produced a better songs had things gone differently? Or do you think that maybe it was better to revert back to an internal selection for 2020?
I mean, I've seen what they've produced up until the, cancellation. They did well. I mean, I've seen them promoting the track, which is something the BBC were never able to do with the previous entries. And also, another thing that they've done is it kind of had like a positive reception in the beginning, but then we just never knew how that went because our entry was released so late. Well, I wouldn't say so late, but later in the game, so we didn't really see the effect. There were so many
songs coming out all at once that it got very overwhelming.
Exactly. So we'll never really know, and we didn't get, and obviously we didn't get the pre-party season, so we won't know how that would have fared with the fans. We know he can sing it well because I've seen footages of him singing it, but other than that, we wouldn't really know. And the fact that BMG are willing to do it again for 2020 and whether or not they'll get it is another story. But I really wish they would, because I really would like to see them a chance to prove themselves and turn the fortunes around from the UK.
I think the thing is that the problems that existed when there was an internal selection previously and the problems that existed when there was a national final are both exactly the same, which is that they don't let the artists do something that is authentic to them. And I feel like if there was a national final where the artists that were performing were able to do something that was their own music, that they'd written, that they'd produced in collaboration with people, and it was theirs, that's likely to have more success than a national final where it's just, here are some songs, go sing. And exactly the same with an internal selection as well. We saw that 2014 was another year where we were doing better than we were, and that was because that was Molly's song.
Mm-hmm.
And we've not had that in a lot of other years.
Like,
just got given that song and got told to go away and do it.
Like, some of the issues with the songs that were in the national selections and had been given to past internal artists were that these songs were quite generic. Like, they were from, a lot of these songs were from songwriting camps. They had like a formula, and I think it's became apparent that there's no one formula to do well in Eurovision. Also the artists probably don't feel as enthused to perform a song that's been written for them as compared to a song that they've produced themselves and that they've put all the work in.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that's kind of definitely come around since Jamala's won. Because since Jamala's won, there's definitely an element of personal connection to the song. So, for example, like Salvador Sobral won because A, the song was very good, but B, there was also a family connection because his sister had wrote the song for him. So she knew what he liked and like his style of genre was. Netta wrote her song in, she had a big say on how it was produced in 2018. And then in Duncan's case, he had written the song as well. So there's very much a sense, I feel like, that Europe can tell when a song is kind of just manufactured pop as opposed to something that's coming from the heart. And
Absolutely, definitely.
And that's a thing that I do feel like the UK does consistently struggle with. Because even just take, for example, the 2019 selection. All three of those songs were manufactured and they were deliberately sent out so that two people or two acts could sing that same song. It didn't feel personal. It didn't feel like there was an emotional connection to that. And that's why it tanked so bad. It's the same reason why Germany's tanked in 2017, because it was the exact same process. So there's definitely a sense that there needs to be some kind of artist connection in order for actual believability, really.
Definitely, and I think you can tell you saw that shift happen in Suri's live performance where there was the stage invasion happens and then suddenly she gets the mic again and you see the change in her when she starts singing and suddenly she's so emotional and so feeling empowered by the words that she's singing at that point, and you can tell just how there is this shift of emotion and the shift in audience response. I remember watching it and going, wow. And you don't get that for the most part.
Like, she seemed just so determined, and like the lyrics of the song like kind of fit the situation, like, and it felt very, even though she didn't write the song herself, the performance felt authentic. Hence, I think she did a little bit better in the televote than our previous entries had done. And I feel like part of that was because her performance felt very authentic.
Yeah, I do think that the national final selection, I do feel like we have had some very good songs in those selections. I think the peak of it was the 2018, because we had songs like Crazy, we had songs like You, we had songs like Legends, and of course we had Storm as well. So it was a gradual progression of, yes, quality songs being fostered by home written artists as well. And I feel like that's a big thing that pushes in towards getting behind a song. But the thing is, I feel like a big part of it needs to be home promotion in order to actually get behind the song. Obviously, that is something that the UK continues to struggle with. I mean, this could just be wishful thinking, but given the fact that BMG has gotten behind the entry again for 2021, I think it's only fair that the BBC actually goes out and makes an effort to really promote the song both domestically and abroad, because I don't know if any of you guys ever heard Storm, Never Give Up on You, Bigger Than Us at all on the major radio stations, even in the lead up to the contest.
No.
I don't think it was.
No.
Apparently, Bigger Than Us was used in an advert in Spain last year.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not actually joking.
Advertising.
I mean, probably some mobile phone company or something.
I think it was like a telenovela drama.
Right.
Really?
Incredible.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, it did. And Michael did. Looking at what we did last year, they did promote it. Michael was performing on. He even, I think, performed Croatian TV. He performed in the pre-party circuit. But other than that, I can't think of anything else before. He even performed in Russia.
Yeah.
So it is there, but they're kind of like fan events. So they're not. It wasn't like 2009 scale where they all went out for Jade Ewan, where she was performing in every national selection available. I even heard that in 2009, she even gave a free copy of her entry on, I think it was an OK Magazine Russia or something like that.
Wow.
So I missed that type of work that the BBC did, because 2009 was where it showed where if you put a lot of effort in it, and I mean a lot of effort in, you do very well. And I don't think we've seen that from the BBC in like 2009 levels since then.
This is well, Andrew Lloyd Webber's just got so much money that he can stick behind things, and I am not an Andrew Lloyd Webber fan by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't like that entry at all. But clearly it shows that promoting it is one of the ways to succeed.
Yeah. I think there's also, like, moving back to changing perceptions, I think that there's also the thing of promoting it within, like, have him perform on a couple of UK TV shows, play the song on the radio, and be positive about the song. Don't just be like, oh, we won't win. Be more like, oh, this could do really well this year, or this could do better. Don't be like, oh, this won't win, like, let's just ignore it. Let's promote within, and then our perception within the UK will change. Then you can slowly start to improve attitudes towards the contest from within. And then you'll get more artist interest.
Yeah, I mean, literally, casting my mind back to when the song was premiered on BBC Radio 1, Greg James, the host, even from the moment after the song finished, he got a casual listener, and asked, are we going to win? And obviously, like, it was a very good effort, but I don't think it was going to win. But they said, oh no, we're definitely going to come last again. And Greg James even said himself, I don't care about Eurovision, but I have to promote it. You could just tell that he was just not enthused about having to promote the contest by any stretch of the imagination at all. So I'm just over this sense of, oh, we're too good for the contest, because the UK is not too good for the contest. And I think that needs to get shown.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
I
just
definitely agree with that.
So maybe making things a little bit more positive. Who would be your favorite UK song? Of all of the songs that have ever participated for the UK, which song would you say comes out on top?
Ooh, it's an interesting one.
For me, actually, the thing is, I actually do enjoy a lot of the UK songs, with a couple of exceptions. Obviously, I only started watching the contest from about 2007, and that was when Scooch first appeared. So obviously, I did not get off to a very good start. But looking back, there actually are a good few number of songs that actually are very good. So taking, for example, Imani, 1998, that is an absolute banger. I think that practically caught the musical zeitgeist of that time, and that showed in the placement of the song overall, because it came in third place. As well as that, I also do have a bit of a guilty pleasure for Andy Abraham, even if I think that was cruelly robbed.
It was.
It was. And I think the thing was, he exuded that kind of confidence and, like, oh, I'm having a good time thing. And I feel like that's something that's been lost along the way. As well as that, I also really liked Bonnie Tyler as well. I thought that was actually quite easy listening. And I actually saw her perform it in Malmö. And she actually did perform it well. It was just, I think, the staging of the song kind of killed it a bit for me, because all it was just her kind of swaying about and then walking and then swaying about and then being lifted up while swaying about. But since 2016 as well, I also did like Molly as well in 2014. I think that was cruelly robbed as well. But since 2016, with the exception of 2019, I've pretty much enjoyed all of the UK songs. They have potential. It's just in the execution where it goes a bit awry. But that's just me.
Mm-hmm. I think you've named some absolute classics there. I think one of the others that I would name is Ooh Ah Just a Little Bit, of course.
Oh God, yeah.
The only reason I'm okay with that not winning is that The Voice is one of my favourite winners of all time. So
taste.
It's beautiful. But also more recently, that moment where Lucy Jones is on stage and she hits that high note and the gold sparks start to fly out and the beat drops. It's just fucking beautiful. I get chills every time I think about it. Yeah. I think it was incredible, and her voice was incredible, and yeah, I back that entry. But also, yeah, I like you said, they've all had some sort of potential, and we've just not gotten behind it enough. We've not cared about it enough. The other thing I would say is that I'm possibly one of the few people in the world who will actually defend Still in Love with You as our entry, because when else have you heard electro swing in Eurovision? Okay, we complain all the time about the fact that the UK does not send anything that is unique or original or inventive, and it's all just really generic, and that is an entry that is far from generic. That's interesting. It's a genre that we don't see a lot, and it was executed really badly. I will give it that. The live performance was not good. The lyrics were kind of fun if you take them as parody and really cringy if you take them as serious. But quite honestly, they tried to do something different. They took a risk. It failed, but at least they tried.
Cut to that gif of Bart Simpson just holding the cake saying, "At least you tried."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think throughout the years, like I have actually enjoyed quite a lot of our entries. Like throughout, like I've watched the contest since 2006, and I've liked pretty much all of the entries, like to some varying degree. I'd say my favourite since 2007 is probably Molly. It's just because the song felt authentic. It's just the type of music that I listen to. And yes, like when it got onto the stage, it didn't work as well. But I don't know if it was because there was like too much staging or she was nervous. But that performance was better than performances that have been given previously. I actually have a soft spot for Scooch. I just find that entry just really fun, and like I appreciate that it's bad
in a good
but
way.
Like it's in a good way. Like it's so bad that I like it. But like prior to
2007 was just the year of troll entries.
Yeah. Prior to 2007, I'd probably say my favourite is, it's probably quite a common answer, but Love Shine a Light. Like, I think when, like, you're at a Eurovision event and, like, everyone's just singing along, I just think that's, like, really moving and really sweet, and it just makes me happy and makes me feel part of, like, a family. So, yeah, I really do like that song. I love the togetherness of it, and I'm really glad that it won in 1997.
Well, we've already mentioned quite a few. As same with Rory, I started watching the contest fully in 2007 because that's when I moved to the UK, and yeah, so Scooch is not on that list. But I'd say for me, it's Jade. It's my time. It's because of the fact that that's the time where I've really seen the effort with the UK. Same with Children of the Universe. That format worked very well, and I don't know why they didn't continue it. Because those two, I've seen the effort quite well, and the results showed for it, so that's why I like them, and it really appealed to me. And the third one would be, I'd say, Lucy Jones. Just because the minute she got announced, and the minute that I heard the song, I immediately knew that she was going to be the winner. And without surprise, it actually did win, and it gave us a good result that we so sorely deserved at that time. So yeah, 3 entries, 3 lovely ladies, and all deserved better. That's all I'd say.
Yeah, I think the UK, I think that there's a lot of potential there, and I just think the BBC there's always something that's always lacking, but that's just me.
Who would be everyone's sort of dream or ideal act if you had complete control?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I think the best way to kind of capture the UK musical scene at the moment, because you know how a lot of the fans who complain that we never do well at the contest, we could send Adele and even they wouldn't be able to win, etc.
Oh.
I think, like, the best way to kind of prove them wrong is to actually get someone who is a big name in the UK and just get them to try, because obviously there's a big perception that doing Eurovision is career suicide, and Jade is pretty much an exception. I wouldn't say an exception. It's kind of the proof of it. That's not the case, because after she went to Eurovision, she joined the Sugar Babes, one of the quite possibly the biggest British bands that has ever been. So, if say for example we maybe had sent maybe Mabel, for example, because Don't Call Me Up was a song that was under 3 minutes, received massive radio attention across not only just the UK but all of Europe. It's pretty much seen as the summer hit. Like, that could have been an actual potential euphoria moment, but that didn't happen. But if you were to go for someone who would be a little less known, I would say maybe Celeste. She's a jazz / pop singer. She's actually just won the Brit Award for Rising Star / Critics' Choice. And usually people who win the Critics' Choice Awards always end up becoming internationally successful. So I think you might as well catch that spark while it's still there before it becomes so big that Eurovision just seems beneath them.
It's really cool. I think I need to go and check out some Celeste now.
Yeah, I think just touching on what Rory just said, the Brit Rising Star would be a good, for an internal selection, would be a good option, just because they're gaining a fan base, but they're not quite massive yet. But you know from like the past Brit Rising Star Critics' Choice Awards that they will be a massive star in the coming years. So for them, they won't see Eurovision as career suicide.
I think my choice would be, I'd really be interested in something that shows off bits of the UK that we don't tend to get to see. So I'd be really interested in an entry in one of our other national languages, for example. So something in Welsh or Cornish or Gaelic, or something that was partially in those languages that would represent, something that is a little bit more unique or unusual. Either something that would be more pop music or in a slightly different genre, or something that's more folky. I feel like that would be a really interesting way to introduce something that is a little bit more culturally unique about the UK to the contest. And like, how often do we get to hear music in those languages? It would be really great for an artist who sings in those sorts of languages to be able to get that exposure as well.
I guess for a genre that I'm interested in seeing, like us, I was thinking that maybe indie rock, because I think that's like a genre that's very much seen as a UK genre, and it's not a genre we see a lot in Europe. Like, yes, we saw Lake Malawi do it, and they actually did pretty well. Like, I think they came 11th overall. So, like, but an indie pop song for us would feel very, very authentic, because it's a sound that a lot of people associate with the UK. So that is like a sound that I would like to see maybe us go towards, and just to see how well we would do with like something like that.
I remember when I first heard Midnight Gold, and I thought that sounded like something that could have come out of the Hacienda in the 90s.
I think it shows though that
that's
as well.
Our music.
I love that show.
That reason.
And that got 12 points off our jury, and a lot of people were really, really surprised. But like, I really wasn't, because that's just a typical sound that we would go for and that we would like. And if you didn't already know it was from Georgia, you would think that maybe that was our entry.
Exactly.
For me, it's quite tricky, because I agree with everyone, but I don't know what it is. But I just think something I'd like to see would be something where we can just all agree on, in the fact that it's just a track that, I don't know, would suddenly change the UK's perception, which won't happen for a very long time. But I think it's something that a pop track that would just get us united, because let's just face it, like, the UK has been a bit of an array this decade, and will probably be in a bit of array for quite some time, and I think that we just need something uplifting that would, make everyone survive, but also potentially give us a win. But that would involve a lot of effort and a lot of changing perceptions, so I don't think that would happen for a long time. But then again, that's just me.
I have this entire theory about how the UK's entries over the last sort of 6-7 years have reflected our relationship with the EU, but
I will never give up on EU.
Yeah, still in love with EU. Children of the E-universe.
Storms don't last
EU
forever.
are not alone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bigger than us.
My last breath is about the EU trying to save the UK.
True story.
Maybe this has just been a secret ploy by the BBC to try and get everyone to remain in the EU.
I wouldn't put it past them.
and if that were true, they obviously failed.
Goddamn locals.
So one last question just before we start to wrap things up. How do you think the UK can progress in 2021 in terms of its promotion? Do you think that things should just stay as they are, or do you think that something else can be done to help improve the UK's results at the end of the close of the voting?
I can think about this. If we still have BMG on our side next year, because I think they have to basically bid for it or like basically fight for it. If they do, then I really want to see how they would do, but I think they'd improve the promotion side of things. Because if you think about it, the pre-parties won't leave because it's them that's going to invite the artists. So we know that will never leave. But in the terms of like promoting it properly, if you've got a record label beside you, I think that can improve your chances. Because I've seen it with this year, even though we didn't get the contest, I've seen them promoting the track everywhere in Europe, where I've seen people like, oh, I'm getting the promotion for the UK track on my Facebook feed or on my Twitter feed or Instagram. So if they have BMG, I really want to see how they would pull through if they get selected in 2021.
Yeah, I think it's more just promote. Maybe also release the entry a little bit earlier into the season to give the artist a chance to get out, form maybe a few national selections would be really like beneficial for us. Like, and that would show a commitment to doing well. I think also what the BBC can do is like, such as radio presenters, cut back on the negativity instead of saying, "Oh, we won't do well," or feeling like it's a chore to play the song. Like, just as hard as it may be for some presenters, just be positive and just say, "Hey, we may not win, but we could get a decent result."
I think just sort of going back to exactly where we started, like, how is anyone else supposed to give a shit and get behind it if you as a broadcaster don't get behind it? We need that positivity coming out, because if you as a broadcaster don't give a shit, then no one else is going to, and that's when it's going to fail.
Like, for example, also would help with releasing it earlier is that there is The Greatest Dancer, which gets quite a few viewers. Like, have them promote it on that show, like prime time TV show on the BBC, and just really get behind it. Obviously, also have the Graham Norton as well, but like just more performances within the UK as well, which shows that there is a backing behind the entry.
I think for me, what could be best to do, I think homegrown promotion is fantastic, but even just to go down to the absolute foundations of it, maybe the BBC could almost partner with other TV channels, for example, like ITV, Channel 4, those who have a lot more of a grasp on sort of what is modern and what is kind of contemporary, because obviously there is a sense that the BBC is kind of mostly seen for kind of middle-aged older people, so there might actually be just a complete disconnect with how the BBC and therefore the UK in turn sees the whole contest. So maybe if the BBC was to partner with, say, Channel 4, I think that would actually maybe boost things, because that would be giving you two different channels to promote the song on.
Yeah.
True story about this. It's that idea has actually been put into practice by other countries. Germany actually won working with a private broadcaster, which brought them the three consecutive top 10 results it had in the beginning of last decade, and also to look at everyone's eastern country, Ukraine, they actually work with a private broadcaster to function their national selection. So we're getting a good show, good tracks, and a Eurovision entry. So it's kind of like a win-win. So if the BBC can somehow make it work, it could. But whether or not that'll be good is another story to tell in the future, hopefully.
Hopefully they might have a listen to this podcast and actually give them a bit of food for thought. You never know.
We're going to just now constantly rage tag the BBC Eurovision Twitter account.
Oh, let's do it.
when this gets released.
It's like, yes, come, get us now. Listen to this.
In case you all want like jury members for hire for your selection panel, I think all 4 of us are here.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's all we need, you know? Plus as well, get to have a little bit of a say in the decision-making process. You can't say no to that.
Exactly.
I'll do it pro bono if you want that, BBC.
Oh dear. Right, well I think that should probably be enough now. So I'd like to thank Rosie, Jazzy and Tim for joining me once again. Just before we go, if you want to follow us on social media, please follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. It's That Euro Podcast. And stay tuned for the next couple of episodes because we're going to be talking about a few more interesting countries. And I think it should be enough to get a conversation going for sure. So for the meantime, should we say bye-bye, everyone?
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.